The 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina, Italy, opened amid political tension and global scrutiny. The world's eyes were fixed on Italy, not only for the spectacle of sport, but for the stories unfolding beyond the competition. The opening ceremony was a dazzling display of unity. Yet, beneath the surface, deeper currents were at play. The focus wasn't just on sports. Team USA arrived carrying the weight of a divided nation, and the controversies of the second Trump administration. Their presence was a reminder of the complex realities back home, where political debates and social unrest had left the country deeply polarized. For many athletes, these games became a platform to express concern about their country's direction. Some saw their participation as a chance to inspire hope, while others felt compelled to speak out about the issues affecting their communities. Recent U.S. immigration enforcement actions had shaken communities, and many athletes felt personally affected. Stories of families separated or living in fear weighed heavily on their minds, adding a layer of emotion to their Olympic journey. The International Olympic Committee's Rule 50 prohibits political demonstrations, but the athletes' convictions push those boundaries. The tension between Olympic tradition and the urge to speak out was palpable throughout the Games. Subtle gestures, social media posts, and press conferences became their tools for protest. Every action, no matter how small, was scrutinized by both supporters and critics around the globe. The world watched, not just for medals, but for this new wave of athlete activism. The Games became a stage for dialogue, reflection, and sometimes confrontation. As Team USA marched into San Siro Stadium, pride mixed with the reality of a nation in turmoil. The athletes' faces reflected both determination and uncertainty about what lay ahead. The athletes carried the flag, and the burden of representing American ideals in a fraught moment. Each step was a statement, each gesture a symbol of resilience and hope. Their performance would be judged on more than athletic skill. It was about navigating a complex identity. Competing for medals, they also competed for the soul of their nation, striving to show the world what America could be. For many, this was a chance to redefine what it means to represent America, anchored in justice and compassion, not just government policy. Their actions, both on and off the field, would echo far beyond the Games. The Olympic stage was set for a Games unlike any other, where the pursuit of excellence met the call for change. For Team USA, wearing the red, white, and blue in 2026 was bittersweet. The Olympics are usually a time of pure pride, but this year, the emotions were far more complicated. Athletes marched into the stadium with their heads held high, but many carried a weight that went far beyond the pressure of competition. Freestyle skier Hunter Hess summed it up: "Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything going on in the US." For Hess and his teammates, the flag was a symbol of both hope and heartbreak. Many athletes felt torn, proud to compete, but troubled by their government's actions. They wrestled with the idea of representing a country whose policies sometimes clashed with their own values. Figure skater Amber Glenn, the first openly LGBTQ+ woman on the US team, refused to stay silent about rollbacks of protections for her community. She used her platform to speak out, inspiring others to do the same. The aggressive immigration enforcement back home cast a shadow over the Games. News from the US was never far from their minds, and it affected their focus and their spirits. News of deaths in Minnesota hit athletes like hockey player Kelly Panic especially hard. The tragedy was a stark reminder of the struggles their communities faced, even as they competed on the world stage. Competing with the pain of their communities, these athletes felt silence was not an option. They leaned on each other for support, finding strength in unity and shared purpose. They began to ask, who does the flag on their uniform truly represent? Was it the government or the people and ideals they cherished? Hess answered for many, "I'm competing for my friends, my family, my supporters." For him, and for others, the flag became a symbol of the people who believed in them. The athletes drew a line between the American government and the American people. They made it clear that their loyalty was to the values and communities that shaped them. They competed for an ideal, America as a place of love, acceptance, and respect. Their actions spoke louder than words, showing the world what they believed America could be. Their patriotism was rooted in values, not politics. For them, true pride meant standing up for justice, equality, and compassion. The Olympic Games became a stage for this new definition of American pride, a pride that was thoughtful, inclusive, and deeply personal. Team USA athletes turned the Olympic spotlight into a platform for protest. Gus Kenworthy, competing for Great Britain but raised in the US, posted a viral message in the snow, FK Ice. He urged followers to call their senators and oppose funding for the agency. Hockey player Kelly Pannek paused a press conference to grieve the killing of Alex Preddy in Minnesota, calling the federal operation just horrifying. Cross-country skier Jessie Diggins said she races for an American people who stand for love, for acceptance, for compassion. Snowboarder Stacey Gaskell honored those who choose people over power. Freestyle skier Chris Lillis and snowboarder B. Kim echoed calls for love and respect for all. These weren't coordinated attacks, just heartfelt expressions from young Americans on the world stage. Their message: they were competing for a better America. The world's reaction to the US presence at the Games was impossible to ignore. The atmosphere inside San Siro was electric, but also tense, as anticipation mixed with uncertainty about how the American delegation would be received. As the US delegation entered San Siro Stadium, Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance were met with loud boos. The sound was unmistakable, echoing through the stadium and catching the attention of viewers around the globe. The jeers targeted political leaders, not the athletes, reflecting global anger at US policies. Many in the crowd made it clear their disapproval was aimed at those in power, not the competitors themselves. President Trump's threats, like taking control of Greenland, had fueled outrage across Europe. Headlines and protest signs captured the growing frustration with American leadership, and the Olympics became a stage for that sentiment. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee anticipated mixed reactions, even rebranding its hospitality venue from Ice House to Winter House to Distance from Ice. This subtle change was a sign of how carefully the U.S. was navigating the international spotlight. The international disapproval put athletes in a unique position, representing a nation while criticizing its government. Many American athletes found themselves answering tough questions from the global press, balancing pride with protest. The boos echoed the athletes' own frustrations and showed their concerns were part of a global conversation. For some, the crowd's reaction was a reminder that their voices mattered beyond the field of play. The world was watching not just their athletic feats, but how they carried the weight of a complex American identity. Every gesture, every word, was scrutinized as a reflection of the country's values and struggles. The athletes' message that love for country means demanding better resonated far beyond the Games. Their willingness to speak out inspired conversations about patriotism and responsibility. Their protests became part of a worldwide call for human rights and respect. Athletes from other nations joined in, creating a powerful sense of solidarity on the world stage. The Olympic stage magnified their voices, turning individual acts of courage into a collective demand for change and justice. The protests extended beyond the Olympic venues and into the streets of Milan. Demonstrators marched against U.S. immigration enforcement, showing international solidarity with those affected by ICE. Back in Minnesota, the pain was raw. Recent deaths during federal operations left communities reeling. One man, in tears, described feeling attacked by his own government. Athletes like Jessie Diggins and Kelly Pannek carried this anguish with them to Italy. The sense of betrayal was widespread. Citizens felt the government had lost its way. Viral videos and news segments captured the heartbreak and anxiety of ordinary Americans. The shame was not just about policy, but about feeling like strangers in their own land. The athletes' words were amplified by protesters and citizens back home. Together, they painted a picture of a country in crisis, its ideals threatened from within. The Olympics became a global stage for this national reckoning. The sense of shame reached deep into the military community. Veterans, often symbols of patriotism, felt betrayed by the administration's policies and rhetoric. President Trump's alleged comments about fallen soldiers as losers and suckers cut especially deep. Politicians like Mr. Hollingsworth said Trump doesn't understand service or sacrifice. The disconnect between leadership and the values of service created a moral crisis for many. Abroad, Americans felt the burden of their government's aggressive actions, turning allies into anxious neighbors. A congressman in Greenland described the shame of being seen as a threat, not a friend. These voices showed the athletes' feelings were part of a broader national mood. Veterans, politicians, and citizens all grappled with disappointment and disillusionment. The athletes' protests echoed a widespread longing for a return to American ideals. Many U.S. athletes chose to redefine who they represented in 2026. They drew a line between the American people and the politicians in Washington. Their loyalty was to their families, friends, and the ideals of a just nation. Freestyle skier Hunter Hess said he competed for his community, not the administration. Cross-country skier Jesse Diggins echoed this, racing for an American people who stand for love, for acceptance, for compassion. Their patriotism was about holding America to its highest ideals. They showed that loving your country means speaking out when it falls short. The athletes competed for the respect of their fellow citizens and the future of the American dream. Their actions redefined what it means to represent a nation on the world stage. Despite the turmoil, the U.S. athletes' message was ultimately one of hope. Their criticism came from love for their country and a belief it could be better. They called for a return to core values: love, respect, and compassion. Snowboarder B. Kim and skier Chris Lillis spoke of treating all citizens with dignity. The athletes' words offered a counter-narrative to division and fear. They embodied the Olympic spirit: unity, respect, and fair play. By speaking out, they reminded the world of the ideals the Games represent. The story of Team USA in 2026 is one of courage and conviction. True patriotism, they showed, is fighting for the values the flag stands for. Their hope for a more loving, inclusive America will echo long after the Games.